Hello, welcome to another session at Adobe DITAWORLD 2023. My name is Leroy Steinbacher. I am a solution consultant for AEM Guides, and I am very happy to be here today to talk to you about PDF like a boss. Say hello to DITA's new best friend, Adobe's cloud-native PDF engine. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the DITA publishing landscape, and we'll discuss some of the benefits and challenges associated with DITA publishing, along with some of the pros and cons of automated versus custom pagination. We'll also take a closer look at the AEM Guides native PDF engine and how it can be used to manage style within the same interface that's used to author and manage content. Finally, we'll take a look at some of the technologies that are used by the native PDF and some of the benefits of making some of those settings within the native PDF engine to maximize your ownership of your own published PDFs. So some of the key takeaways will be to discover the ease and flexibility of PDF customization within Guides. We'll also take a look at the wide range of options that you have to make changes to your PDF style sheets at your fingertips. And then we'll also cover how you can transform your DITA to PDF workflows with customizations that are intuitive and enabling you to do self-sufficient style sheet design, PDF style sheet design for your style guidelines and your branding directly within the tool. So, say hello to native PDF and say goodbye to costly and time-consuming external dependencies. So who is the boss of your PDF? Is it your style sheet vendor? Maybe you have an external company that comes in and updates your style sheets every time you need to make a change to your output based on various customer requirements. Or perhaps you're relying on the DITA Open Toolkit and some of the custom plugins that are supplied out of the box within that tool. Or maybe if you're customizing some of those DITA Open Toolkit plugins, you're dependent on the one techie on your team that understands XSLFO and all the moving parts that are involved in creating PDF using that PDF rendering engine. Or perhaps you're limited to using desktop publishing for your custom PDF design, where you may have someone in InDesign that has to do custom layouts and style decisions within a desktop publishing tool. So I'd like to take a quick look at the 2020 DITA satisfaction report. I know it's a few years back, but this kind of gives us kind of an understanding of where teams and managers are at in terms of their use of DITA, at least 3 years back, relatively recently. So in one of the reported features was the benefits, the top 3 benefits of using DITA reported by teams. So technical documentation teams that have successfully adopted DITA have reported on a variety of benefits, and these are the top 3. 82% consistency, right? Content consistency, following a consistent structure is very crucial for, or critical for, developing content that's consistent and reusable. The second benefit is publishing. So 68% of the users reported that one of the main benefits is publishing, being able to take your content and publish it to multi-channels, whether it be PDF, HTML, or any other type of output type that may be needed. And then the third benefit is usability. Content usability improvements, 53% reported that. So what's interesting is that 68% reported publishing as the number 2 benefit of implementing DITA XML within their teams. So with that in mind, let's take a look at another statistic from that report. Managers that have adopted DITA face some challenges even under the best of circumstances. So the top 3 challenges that were reported by managers. Number 1, content reuse. 41% said that its inability to effectively repurpose and reuse content is a challenge. And that's where it's a benefit, but then it's also a challenge to, actually maximize the ability of reuse that you can potentially have. Takes some information analysis, content strategy, and all those things. So it's a benefit, but it's also a challenge as you're migrating your content, maybe from long form content to a structured content environment. But what's interesting here is the number 2 and the number 3 challenges are both related to publishing. 29% says the inability to publish output as desired, and then another 29% said the inability to adequately control the formatting of DITA content. So what's interesting to me when I look at these 2 results is that one of the main benefits of moving to DITA is publishing, and then also the 2 and 3 challenges. Number 2 and 3 challenges of moving to DITA also involve publishing. So it's just an example of, these are some great features, but they present certain challenges along the way. And that's what we're going to discuss today, about how to overcome some of those challenges, at least with publishing PDF, and empowering your managers and your teams to kind of get a handle on those. So let's quickly go over some of the manual desktop publishing pros and cons. Maybe it's like, I have to do my document in InDesign because the layout is complex and I need to make changes. So sure, complete flexibility for one-offs and custom layout requirements that can be handled in desktop publishing. Also, templates can be modified on the fly as needed for brochures or different ad campaigns. But then the problem is, if you have all that flexibility, custom layouts can then lead to a variation in your design, which may break style guidelines and conventions. And then also, if you're sending your content for review, reviewers will need to focus both on the content and the style sheet or the style requirements that you may have. Moving on to style sheet driven publishing. Style changes, if you want to make a change to your style, it has to be made within a template or a custom plugin. And then any changes that are made, so let's say you publish your output and you make some changes to that PDF or HTML after you publish it, those changes are only temporary and they get lost, the next time you may publish that same content for a future release. But some of the pros are pagination and layout. It's automatically applied during publishing and follows consistent rules and conventions. And so that way your company-driven style guidelines are consistently followed across all of your published documents. So there are some pros and cons to style sheet development as well as custom desktop publishing. But when you kind of keep these factors in mind, it's helpful to decide, well, what am I gaining and what am I losing versus using one option or the other. But what if I told you you can build both PDF content and style within the same tool? So here is one of those managers who is facing some of those challenges, and this particular manager discovers native PDF engine within AEM Guides. So DITA XML gives authors, the ability to focus on developing content without worrying about layout and style. That's the nice thing about DITA. Instead of spending time custom desktop publishing, the native PDF engine within the AEM Guides can be used to automatically create custom layouts and styles based on configurable templates and presets. So within the same tool, you can work on your content, and then when you want to focus on your output, you can go to your native PDF output tab and then lay out the look and feel of your document using standard conventions within your style sheet. So here's an example of this, a screenshot of AEM Guides within the authoring mode. And what I have open here, and within this tab, you can see your content is on the left, and then you have a preview of your content in the center. As you're looking at the preview of that particular document in the map. We'll be using this in the demo in a few minutes. But then you also have the option within looking at that same document, you can also click on the Output tab, and this Output tab is going to expose some templates and some presets. And so a template is basically a starting point of how you want to create a particular style sheet for a custom layout and look and feel of a PDF. And there's several default templates that come with guides. But for this particular example, you can expose the page layouts, which will show you all the different variations of pages you can have in your PDF. You'll have the ability to look at your style sheets for both content and layout, and then some resources that you may want to include within your PDF. And it's within a WYSIWYG environment where you can click on certain options. Like for instance, this is the chapter first page, and you can control the various aspects of that page layout with your content properties. Then also, once you have your templates in place, you have the ability to select presets. And so what that does basically is a preset says, okay, I want to use this template, but then I also want to set some of these other options in order to deliver my PDF. Like, if I want to use a DITA-val or a specific condition, if I want to publish a PDF with change bars, and a lot of other different things that you can set. We'll go over those as well in the demo. So the technology that's used by the native PDF engine is it's based on open standards. So that's the nice thing. It's not some proprietary PDF magic, that Adobe has cooked up. It's actually using standards and open source standards, but it's what it's doing is it's applying them within the tool itself. So you don't have to go around and create those files externally and modify those files in different places and upload those files to a custom plugin somewhere for processing. You have access to these files and these resources directly within the tool, and then you're able to apply them as well directly within the tool. But it's following some standard conventions. So for page layout, you're using the CSS Paged Media Convention, which is a W3C standard. For content layout, you're using the CSS3 standard, which includes advanced CSS and HTML, and then you also have the ability to include JavaScript as needed for additional processing of your style sheet for your PDF. So just looking at how those technologies are applied within that same PDF template screen we're looking at, the CSS Paged Media is used within the Page Layouts tab. And then the CS3 standard is used within these two files that we have for style sheets, one for content and one for layout. And then there's some custom options that you can also set within these settings. So the nice thing is a lot of these pieces are already in place for some of these different built-in templates. You're not building anything from scratch. You're starting with something that already exists at a couple different levels for the different templates that are built in, and then you can build on those as needed as you want to customize those and make changes for your PDF. So there are several benefits, additional benefits for using the native PDF engine within AEM Guides. One, you can decide, you can set up your presets for whether you're publishing your PDF for the web or if you're publishing for print. So for the web, you may want to optimize your file size for online delivery. You probably want to include full PDF compression and image compression. Maybe you want to set a custom resolution. And then you probably want to use an RGB color for web delivery, where people will be downloading their PDFs and just viewing them online. They won't necessarily be taking those PDFs for print. But maybe you also have some publishing requirements where you do actually have to take that PDF and send it for print. Well, you can also set options which will optimize those PDFs by including high quality, pre-press ready content, embed the ICC profiles, and then you have the option of including bleed and crop marks as needed, as well as CMYK color. So within the same tool, you have settings to handle multiple output requirements, whether it's on the web or whether it's for print. And then you also have the ability to, for compliance and metadata, to set up your PDF X compliance. You can have fully tagged PDFs that will include a specific metadata that you want to have packaged with your PDF. You're able to include change tracking if you want to have a PDF that shows, well, what's changed since the last release. And we'll look at that in the demo as well. And then you also, when you're publishing, you have the ability to publish from different baselines. So you have version control, where maybe you want to publish a draft of a PDF for a new release, or maybe you need to have a hotfix that goes back to make a change for maybe a version that was released a little while ago, but you need to make some changes. You have all that control when you're publishing your PDF. Okay, so I think I'm going to move on now for a brief demo of how you can use the native PDF tool to customize some of your style sheet requirements. Okay, so now we're looking at the AEM Guides interface. This is all web-based, so everything is within the AEM environment. And these are the tabs that we looked at before, the Author tab and the Output tab. Now within the Author tab, I have what's set up here is it's already opened the map within the map view, and then it's also taken that map and it's given you a preview of that map view, just to kind of give you an idea of the content that's within Guides and the online editing of that content. So for instance, if I want to make a change to this particular topic within this map, I can scroll through to the different topics that I want to look at. Let's say I want to make a change to this topic. I can simply say edit. It opens up that topic in an edit mode. I can unlock it and add things as needed. I can make changes, add a note, remove a note, all within the online editor. I'm just going to unlock this and close it. Then I also have control of my style sheet in the Output tab. So if I click on Output, you can see it changes my tools on the left-hand side. I have templates and I have presets. So my templates, there's 3 that come out of the box. There's the basic template, there's the high-tech template, and there's the prime template. And what I've done for the sake of time is published that same document we were looking at to each one of those, so you can kind of get a look and feel of what these default out-of-the-box templates look like when you're publishing PDF. So the basic template is very similar to what you might see if you're publishing to the DITA Open Toolkit basic PDF. There's nothing really special about it. You just have your headings, different sizes for your headings. You have basic pagination with page numbers, footnotes, and other things as needed. Your header simply has the manual title. Not much to it. There's no back cover, there's no front cover, there's no TOC. It's really, like it says, basic. If you want a really basic starting point and you want to build everything else on your own. But let's say you want to have something that's already set up. So this is the one that's called Prime. So this one does have a front cover. It also has a back cover. And you have some control of what content goes there. You could add like a published date or some other kind of metadata. And then you'll see that it does set things up for left and right pages. So you have a left page and a right page. And then you can see for the chapters, you're getting a chapter number and a chapter prefix. You're also getting a little mini TOC for each chapter. And then you have a header and footer, and the header has a little bit more of a descriptive text that's actually covering some of your content and not just the manual name. And then the back cover, like we talked about. And then there's finally the third one is called High Tech. And this one has a more customized front cover, also with the same metadata of the date that's when this document was published, along with a custom graphic. And then this shows you where you can also insert some variables, let's say company name, company website. Also taking into consideration left and right pages. Very similar to the other one, we have a chapter TOC, slightly different style for the headings. Chapter 1's numbered, and then you have some additional information that you can include in your footer. And then scrolling down, there's also a custom back cover again with copyright, website, and then maybe some additional links that you might want to include for Twitter, Facebook, or social media. So that just kind of gives you a preview of what the out-of-the-box templates look like. So, but for the purposes of this demo, I'd like to start with the basic template. And so what I've done is I created a copy for testing, and then I created a copy of this basic template just for the purposes of this demo. And so what you can do, if you don't want to touch the default ones, which is probably a good idea, you can just click here and say duplicate. Then you can duplicate and give it a new name. And then when you're making changes on a new template based on one of the source ones without making, so you can always fall back on that as needed, keeping that as a backup. So if I take a look at my presets, what I've done is I'm going to need to create a new preset because I have one for basic and basic copy, but now I want to create a preset for the basic DW23 DITAWorld. So if I want to create a preset, I want to make this a PDF. I'm going to call this DW. I'm going to call it basic DW23. And I'm going to say I want to generate the PDF using native PDF. So now I have my preset. So my preset gives me a lot of other options I can choose when I'm publishing, but the important one is I'm going to select right away the layout. And the layout is I'm going to say I want to use the template that I want to modify for basic DITAWorld 23. Okay, and I'm going to save this. But one of the things I want to point out is that you have the ability to create a condition. You can set a condition, whether it be a DITAVAL, or you can set up a condition set within the tool as well. You're able to use a baseline. So let's say I want to publish the content as it existed for a particular release, I can do that. Or if I want to, let's say I want to publish a PDF that shows all the changes that have made since that release, I can do that as well. So I'm going to say here, I'm going to say, I want to show the added text and the deleted text that's for all the changes that have been done since my release 1. So there have been some things that I've done in preparation for this demo that we'll be able to see what's been changed and what's been added. So I'm going to save that preset. Just to give you an idea of what else is available, you have the ability to add metadata directly to your PDF. This is what would show up if you go into the PDF and look at the properties. You have the ability to, well, we already looked at the template that we're going to use, but then you can also decide on when your PDF is opened in Acrobat how you want it to be viewed, how you want it to be displayed, any custom zooming that you want to do. You can also set security on your PDF in this tab, password, or any document restrictions. And then you have a number of other options that you may want to apply under the advanced setting here, such as show watermark, enable MathML, a lot of different things that you enable JavaScript, some of the other things that you may want to do. PDF conformance, we talked about that. You can apply that within this tab. Okay, so I think we have our preset all set in place. So what I'd like to do is now take a look at the template that we're using, make some changes to the template. And so I am going to click on Basic DITAWorld 23. And what that's going to do is it's going to open up now this template exposing the different aspects that we looked at before. So the one thing you maybe notice is that the page layout, there's only a couple within the basic template. You have your common page and your TOC. It doesn't have all the chapter first and left pages. This is really kind of just starting from scratch, so it only has a few. But you also still have then the same 2 style sheets that you need for content and layout. And then any resources that you may have, we don't have any custom graphics or anything. And then down here we have some settings. So let's start by taking a look at the style sheet for content. So if I click on this, it's going to open another tab. So this is my content style sheet. It gives me a list of all of the elements that you would find within a DITA map or topic. So specifically what I'd like to do is, if you noticed here for this is the default that there was no numbering. So it's like, hey, it'd be really nice to have numbering, and then maybe I'd like to add a prefix of chapter or a prefix of section within my PDF. So let's see what we can do to add that. So what that means is I want to take a look at my headings. So I have my heading 1, heading 2, 3, 4, and 5 if needed. You can see I have the ability to add an auto number here. I also have the ability to change all the other stylistic aspects of this heading. The font I want to use, the border I want to use, if any, and the layout. So you have control of all these stylistic features, and then as you make a change, your preview will automatically give you an update of what that would look like when you're publishing. So let's start by working on the auto number. And so I want to limit my tags to just the ones that are dealing with headings. Okay, so now I can just see heading 1 through 6. We won't look at all 6. So if I select heading 1 and I select auto number, I'm going to now, for heading 1, I want to say I want to use a decimal style for my numbering. And then here, this is the format. That's the number there within the X. But what I want to do is I also want to add a prefix. So I want to say chapter, and I want to now increase the width of that prefix so everything fits in the same line. And I think that's all I need for chapter 1. If I go to heading 2, I also want to auto number. I'm going to say decimal, and this for heading 2, I'm going to say section. I want to have the number, but I also want to insert a level. So I want to have section 1 from the number from heading level 1, and then I also want to put a prefix here, section 1. And then I want to increase the width here as well to handle the text. Okay, moving along for heading 3, I also want to auto number that. I also want to use decimal, but then what I'm going to do for my format, I'm going to include level 1, and then I also want to include level 2. Okay, so now I have those different levels in my numbering, and I'm not going to add a prefix to this one, so I'll just leave this as is. And then heading 4, we're going low into the headings, so we're going to say also numbering decimal, and this one we're going to do insert level 1, insert level 2, insert level 3. Okay, and then I'm going to also, I don't need to make any changes to the width, so I'm going to now save that. Okay, so we've done a couple different things. We've added numbering, and then we've also within the preset set to show change bars. So what I'm going to do now, if I go back to my preset, this is where we actually publish your content. The preset is pointing to this template, which we just modified. And within that template, it's referring to this style sheet, which we just made some style sheet changes to. So if I go back to my preset, now I can select generate that preset. So it's going to be publishing that PDF. It shouldn't take very long, maybe just a few seconds. And so now what we're looking for in our output is change bars. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. So you can see here, this is where we've added some text. This content has been inserted. This is a change that I made since I did the baseline for release 1. And you can see now we have chapter 1, we have section 1.1, we have section 1.2. You can see I made a change here. I removed major and inserted spaceship. We have level 3 headings here. And again, here's another section. This is section 1.3 with some subsections. And if we go even further down, there is a lower level where we have a heading level 4. Anything else special? No. Okay. So we have numbering, and then we also have change bars applied to this content. So, but just looking through this PDF, one more thing that I want to do, and maybe you noticed down here, this is a special kind of note. Okay, it's actually a note type equals caution. So there's a style that's applied to this. And just to take a look at how, well, maybe I want to modify the style of those different notes. And for the purposes of that, I had a couple of notes that I've added up here to the first page so we can test these. Because this is a note type caution, note type warning, note type danger. So what I'd like to do is a couple of things. I'd like to modify the color of that bar, and then I actually would like to add a prefix so we can see, without just looking at the color code, what type of note that is. So let's go back to our template. So what we want to do is we want to now, within the content style sheet, look at, instead of headings, we want to look at note. Now let's just try note. There we go. Okay, so wow, we got a whole bunch of notes. So what that is basically you have your default note, you have your note type equals caution. If you hover over, you can see what the types are. Note equals danger, note notice, note warning, and then note tutorial info, which must be a special kind of note that may be needed in some places. So what I'd like to do is I want to change my note for note type equals caution. All right, so this is where I have the ability to change some of that style. For caution, I want to change the border. You can see that there's this color that's used for border. I don't really like that color. I'm going to use standard colors that are typically used for these type of safety notices. So I'm going to say I want this to be yellow. And some colors you can just type in the name. You don't necessarily have to know the code. And the other thing I wanted to do is, if you notice here, there's not a lot of space in between these. So what I'd like to do is, add some padding around this note and add a little bit of a border to separate the note, to make that note stand out a little bit. So I am going to, under layout, actually I'm going to do the padding and the border to the generic note. So let me go back to do that, because that's going to be the same for all notes. So I'll just finish what I'm doing for the specific note type. So this is caution, yellow, and then I want to change this to danger. So for danger, I want that to be a bright red. All right, and then I believe this was the last one for warning. Warning, I want warning to actually be orange. Okay, let's save that. So let me just go through and make sure I have yellow for caution. For danger, I have red. For warning, I have orange. Okay, perfect. All right, so I saved that. Now I want to go back to notes. If I make a change to the note, the basic note, these changes apply to all of these as well if I make something that's different for the layout. So I'm going to go back here, and to the layout, I want to change my notes. I want to say, I want a margin. I want a margin of, let's say, 10 pixels. And then I also want to add some padding. So I'm going to add padding. I'm going to change that from 0.3 to, let's say, 1. Okay. So you can see there's a preview that also gives you an idea where I've added, like, the padding is showing up here. So I'm going to do a save. So now if we look at these notes, I've made all those changes. I've changed the color, and I've changed the padding, and I've changed the margins. So if we go back now to our preset and we publish this one more time, it should just take a minute, then we want to look to see how those changes have modified the look of our different note types within the PDF. Okay, so we can see here, this is not a very good example. These are all squished together. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's because of the change tracking. Let me go down, let me change that change tracking and see if that makes a difference. But you can see here, now we have the padding and the margins. I'm going to do this one more time, but I am going to, in the general, I'm going to turn off this change tracking feature, save that. And just so you know, the change tracking, that's also a style that you can modify. If you don't like this color, or if you don't like this this pop-up, that you can also control those, that look and feel of that as well. Okay, so we've published this again. Let's see if that makes the difference that we want. There we go. Okay, so the change tracking did some funny business with our notes, but you can see now we have, this is a regular note, note type equals caution, note type equals warning, note type equals danger. So we've done a couple of things. We've made some changes. This PDF is looking a lot better, but if we go down here, there's one last thing that I want to fix, because we're still not seeing note type equals caution. So what I'd like to do is show you one other option you have. There are some style CSS features that are within the style sheet that are not all covered within the interface in terms of the drop-down menus and the things that you can control. So you have the ability, if you have some advanced CSS skills, to then also not just look at this interface, but you can say, hey, show me the source, which is, you know, my happy place. Whenever I'm looking at CSS, I like to see the source. So I'm going to click on the source, and I'm going to go down here to where my notes are. And if I need to do a search, I can find note. Okay, so I've gotten to the area of my CSS, which, like I said, is I'm very comfortable here. It can be a little scary if you're not used to it, but you know, you have the ability. Good CSS developers will have comments, have things organized in a way where you can find it. So what I really want to do is I want to add some custom CSS that will give me my prefix for the different types of notes. And I have that handy. So I'm going to just go to my other screen, copy and paste, just to kind of give you an idea of how this is handled. Nothing really complex, right? We just have the note. If it's just a generic note, you have a before and content says note. I want that bold and uppercase. And then for these other note types, it's pretty basic. Note, caution, before, I want caution. Warning, I want warning. Danger, I want danger. Nothing too complex. And then this style that I applied to the generic note, like we did before, will also be applied to these other notes. So I'm going to save it, go back to my preset, publish it again. View the output. So now we can see we do have generated text that will now say if we have a note, it's going to identify what kind of note that is. Note caution, note warning, note danger. And then if we scroll down here where we didn't have that included in the note text, we can see now we have a caution and a warning. So this gives you the ability to, you know, take your hazard information, your notes, any kind of particular, you know, convention that you want to use to display those, you now have the ability to control within your PDF template, and then you're able to apply that template directly within the same tool that you're authoring your content in, and publish your content directly with the ability to make those type of changes. So that's it for the demo. Let's go back to the presentation. So that's how it's done, like a boss. You can develop your PDFs like a boss using the native PDF engine within AEM Guides. So if you want some more information, I've included a couple of different links here which you can scan, which will give you the links to these. There's an expert session on native PDF publishing essentials, which goes over a lot of the things we talked about today, but even in even more details. And just so you know, there's another one of those sessions that I think that's coming up. So by the time DITA-World happens, there might be a couple videos covering native PDF development within AEM Guides. And then also there's a tutorial that's also available in case you want to follow those steps that I used for adding that numbering for the different section levels. Hopefully these links will be helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions. And thanks again. Enjoy the rest of DITA-World 2023.